Did you know that Earth has a GDP? And I know for some people that's not weird, but for me that is. So countries have GDPs. The US has the largest gross domestic gross, something like that, GDP, whatever. And other countries have it too. Every single country has a report of how much money they make inside their country. But when I was on Google and researching GDPs, I came across the fact that Earth had a GDP, and it clicked in my mind that in a few, let's say 20 years or 40 years or 50 years, Mars is going to have a GDP. It's going to be weird because new countries will be formed on Mars. I mean, the US will have land on Mars, right? So the US will have land on Mars, and it will be categorized as US, right? US, so slash Mars. It's weird because now the US, they will probably update that and put US slash Earth. That's very weird. And if you think about the composition of Mars, there are no visible oceans. So the planet, if it was conquered by countries on Earth, there would be no land barrier that we have here, as water. I mean, mountains, yes, but basically Mars is going to be it's just one massive rock. So countries will split up the rock, and it's going to be very weird because they're all just owning a piece of land. Like each state has their own piece of land, but this is countries. And I think countries on Earth work because there's oceans splitting up enough of them so they're not all touching. So I just found that interesting. And I found it wild to me because I never thought of Earth having its own GDP. I always thought of the collective GDP of all the countries put together, which I think that is the Earth's GDP, but really it's not, because the Earth's GDP is so much money. Every piece of life, every material, everything on this Earth is a ridiculous value point if you were to do that. So I think the GDP that they have on there is wrong, but that's just me. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird that Earth has a GDP and we've all been living on it, but people will have to expand their minds and realize that there will be humans that will never come to Earth, and they will spend their entire life on Mars. Humans will spend their entire life on a different planet, and that is so weird to me. There will be a kid named Jonathan who's born on USA/Mars, and his address is 148 Coney Road/Mars. And he will go through life living on Mars, and he will never visit here because let's just assume Jonathan doesn't have money. He's just working on Mars, which is so sad to think that Jonathan on Mars is going to just work a regular job to make money on Mars. You would think if you were in Mars, you'd be exploring, having fun. No, he's gonna work a job to then make money, to then and it's gonna be expensive because there's no water there, so they're gonna be shipping water every month. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, so Earth's GDP is way more valuable than Mars' GDP. Are you kidding me? There's no visible water on Mars. It's a smaller planet, I think. I don't know about that. I don't know about facts, but I'm assuming it's a smaller planet from things that I've read, but I don't know if I'm I don't know. I don't know about that. And it doesn't look like there's any vegetation, which that is very valuable. Are you kidding me? Wood, lumber. So yeah, man, that's just my thoughts on Earth having a GDP. It's crazy. So wild. And then also my thoughts on Jonathan working a job on a planet that you don't need to be working a job. It just sounds so weird to me that Jonathan would be working a job, and that puts into perspective the pointlessness of things on here on Earth. They're so pointless because Jonathan would just be working a job to make money to live on Mars. But then you think how prehistoric that is, that he's just sitting there working a job to live on a planet that he was born on. No, he was born and now he has to work to just live on the planet he was born on, which was Mars. That's so weird. I feel bad for Jonathan. I feel bad for just like life, really. But that's for another story. Yeah.